You wake up. Your phone lights up with notifications before your eyes even open. Breakfast arrives at your door. No cooking, no waiting. Your coffee machine knows your order by heart. The temperature's perfect. The bed's memory foam cradles you like a cloud. You pull on sweatpants designed for maximum comfort, but something inside you twists. Despite every convenience, every pleasure, you feel hollow. You scroll through social media. Everyone seems ahead of you. The promotion, the perfect vacation photo, the glowing influencer horizon. Yet here you are, in your safe bubble, and you can't shake the sense that something's missing. What if I told you the very thing people worship as the pinnacle of progress, comfort, ease, safety, is the silent assassin of your potential? Imagine a life where every challenge is smoothed over. No risk of failure, no late-night doubts, no battle scars, but also no triumph, no deep pride, no stories worth telling. Over 100 years ago, one philosopher saw this coming. He warned that chasing endless comfort would strip life of its vitality. He said, "Man does not strive for happiness. Only the English do that." That man was Friedrich Nietzsche, the firebrand who believed struggle is life's forge. He argued that without suffering, without friction, we become dull, unable to sharpen our wills. Today, automated everything promises a pain-free existence. But beneath the veneer of ease lies a slow death of ambition and meaning. We're swapping our why for a cozy cage. In the next 2 minutes, you'll see how comfort isn't harmless. It's a drug that numbs your drive. We'll follow Nietzsche's trail through darkness and discover why only discomfort can awaken your greatest self. Brace yourself. The easy path isn't where growth lives. Your journey out of comfort starts right now. You've been told comfort is the ultimate goal, a steady job, a cozy home, zero surprises. Get the promotion, pay the mortgage, automate your life. Take breaks, light candles, chase the perfect work-life balance. But here's the problem. Comfort isn't neutral, it's a sedative. It dulls your edges, mutes your curiosity, cages your ambition. Imagine living every day without friction. Sounds ideal, right? Yet without friction, nothing sharpens. I used to live that ideal life. My schedule was optimized, my meals prepped, my path mapped. On paper I had it all, but inside I felt like a ghost. I'd scroll through feeds of people doing big things, climbing mountains, starting companies, writing books, and think, why not me? What was I missing? Nietzsche diagnosed it a century ago. He who has a why to live can bear almost any how. My why had been traded for a pillow of comfort. No late-night brainstorming, no tough conversations, no risk of failure, so no growth. In avoiding pain, I'd avoided purpose, and you're probably in the same boat. Maybe you've convinced yourself that comfort is a reward for hard work, when in reality, it's the reward that replaces hard work. It whispers that you've made it, lulling you into inaction. But the world doesn't remember the comfortable. It remembers the bold, the driven, the ones who risked everything for meaning. Over the next 2 minutes, we'll unpack why comfort feels so good and why that feeling is a lie. You'll see the hidden cost of every convenience you love, and you'll recognize the first cracks in your own comfort cage. Because before we learn Nietzsche's cure, we need to grasp the full weight of the trap. Let's dive in. You remember Nietzsche's warning about passive ease. He wrote, "What does not kill me makes me stronger." At first glance, it sounds brutal, almost cruel. But dig deeper, and you find a call to arms. True strength is forged in the fires of adversity, not handed out in a velvet pouch. Think about it. Every time you breeze through life dodging discomfort, you miss a chance to build resilience. When you face a setback, a missed deadline, a bruising critique, a failed attempt, you have a choice. You can retreat into comfort, or you can lean in, learn the lesson, and emerge tougher. Nietzsche believed that existence itself is a crucible. He argued that sheltering yourself from hardship only ensures you'll crack at the first real challenge. Like steel that never endures heat, your will stays soft, malleable, useless when pressure finally arrives. So ask yourself, when was the last time you chose struggle over safety? When did you deliberately seek a challenge to test your limits? If your answer is, I can't remember, You're already trapped in the comfort loop. Over the next few minutes, we're going to diagnose the most common comfort traps. Those sneaky routines and quick fixes that promise relief but steal your growth. We'll expose how each innocent convenience chips away at your potential and set the stage for the practical steps Nietzsche offered to reclaim your power. Ready? Let's break down the first trap. He who has a why to live can bear almost any how. That one line changed everything. Friedrich Nietzsche wrote it in 1889, in the aftermath of his greatest breakdown, and it's more than a throwaway aphorism. It's a lifeline. Imagine two people facing the same crushing blow. One loses a job, the other a loved one. Both endure pain, but the one with a why, a clear purpose, a mission, finds a way through. The other crumbles under the weight. When comfort becomes your highest aim, you lose that why. You no longer have a cause worth fighting for. Without a why, the smallest hardship feels unbearable. A missed meeting becomes a catastrophe. A bad night's sleep feels like the end of the world. But with a why, raising a family, creating art, championing a cause, every hardship becomes fuel. The late-night grind, the criticism, the failure, they all feed your fire. Today we've swapped purpose for convenience. We scroll instead of study, swipe instead of strive. And when life inevitably tests us, we have no why to carry us through. So pause and ask yourself, what's your why? What mission would make every obstacle worthwhile? Hold that answer close, because it's the key to turning life's friction into strength. In the next segment, we'll unpack the first comfort trap, instant gratification, and see how it quietly erodes your why. Let's start by looking at the first comfort trap, instant gratification. Every time you unlock your phone, scroll through your feed, or binge watch another episode, you're feeding the dopamine beast. You get a hit of pleasure, and then it demands more. Over time, you need bigger fixes to feel anything at all. Picture this. You're working on a tough project. Instead of leaning into the challenge, you hit a roadblock and your thumb instinctively reaches for your phone. 5 minutes turn into 30. Before you know it, your brain has been rewired to avoid discomfort at all costs. That's the pattern. Discomfort, escape, brief relief, repeat. Each cycle chips away at your ability to tolerate frustration. And frustration is the raw material of growth. Now, consider passive consumption. You buy an ebook, subscribe to an online course, but you never actually do the work. You watch tutorials instead of practicing. You collect resources like trophies, proof you're trying, but real progress never arrives. I remember a friend who purchased every self-improvement program under the sun. His credit card statements read like a coaching catalog. He watched hundreds of videos, then wondered why he wasn't further ahead. The truth was, comfort numbed his edge. He chose learning over doing because it felt safer. Next is the fear of failure loop. You tell yourself that if you can't guarantee success, you won't even start. You only attempt what's easy, what you already know you can ace. Challenging projects, new skills, bold moves, those get shelved. The cost? You never discover what you're truly capable of. Think of the entrepreneur who never launches because he's obsessed with a perfect pitch deck, or the artist who never shows her work because she's terrified of criticism. In both cases, comfort, avoiding the possibility of failure, becomes a prison. Finally, there's the false belief in comfort as a reward. We've been taught to work hard, then relax hard. But when relaxation becomes the default, it steals your drive. Instead of seeing comfort as a brief pause before the next ascent, you start chasing it as the finish line. All these traps share one feature. They promise relief, but deliver erosion. They erode your resilience, your creativity, your will to push beyond current limits. So how do you spot them in your own life? Start by answering these questions honestly. What micro habits am I using to dodge discomfort? Where am I choosing convenience over challenge? When did I last let myself struggle through something without quitting? Write down your answers. Naming these traps is the first step to escaping them. In the next segment, we'll introduce Nietzsche's framework for turning these vulnerabilities into strengths. You'll learn 3 practical steps to transform every trap into an opportunity for growth. Until then, notice when you reach for comfort and pause. Because every moment of resistance you choose now builds the person you'll become tomorrow. So far, we've uncovered 4 comfort traps that quietly erode your potential. Instant gratification that hijacks your focus and rewires your brain to avoid frustration. Passive consumption that lets you collect knowledge without ever doing the work. The fear of failure loop that keeps you playing it safe and never testing your limits. And the false belief that comfort is the reward instead of the pause before the next challenge. These patterns promise relief, but steal your resilience, and with it, your purpose. But here's the good news. The very discomfort you've been avoiding can become your greatest ally. Up next, we'll reveal Nietzsche's framework for transforming these vulnerabilities into strengths. You'll get 3 practical steps, your roadmap out of the comfort cage and into a life forged by struggle. Stick around, because what comes next could be the spark that reignites your drive. Now that we've named the traps, let's turn to Nietzsche's antidote, the Übermensch, the overman who creates meaning through self-overcoming. He didn't hand out a one-size-fits-all fix, but a framework you can apply today in 3 practical steps. First, embrace voluntary hardship. Nietzsche argued that strength comes from choosing your struggles, not fleeing them. That means deliberately adding friction into your life. Take cold showers and learn to breathe through the shock. Set a hard daily habit. Write 500 words before breakfast, run 5 kilometers, or fast from screens for a full day. Volunteer for the toughest assignment at work or launch a side project you know will stretch you. The point isn't pain for pain's sake. It's to train your resilience muscle. Each time you choose something hard, you prove, I can endure, I can adapt, I can grow. Over time, discomfort stops feeling like an enemy and becomes the signal you're leveling up. Second, prioritize values over conformity. The herd wants you comfortable, safe, predictable, unremarkable. Nietzsche called this slave morality. To escape it, first clarify your core values. What do you stand for if everything else falls away? Is it creativity, courage, truth? Next, audit your daily choices. Are they driven by likes, approvals, low-risk options, or by your own compass? Finally, practice small acts of non-conformity. Speak up in a meeting when others stay silent. Dress in a way that reflects your identity rather than the latest trend. Each sacrifice, every no to convenience, becomes an investment in the person you're choosing to become. Third, activate the will to power through incremental wins. The will to power isn't about dominating others. It's the drive to assert your potential and expand your capabilities. To cultivate it, break big goals into micro-challenges. If you want to write a book, start with today's single paragraph. If you want to get stronger, add 1 extra rep or lift 1 extra pound each session. Track your progress visibly. Use a chalkboard, an app, a calendar, whatever shows each small victory, and celebrate even the tiniest win. That dopamine boost conditions you to crave productive struggle, not passive comfort. Those incremental wins build momentum. What feels impossible this week becomes your new baseline next week. You shift from reacting to life to shaping it. As a bonus, reframe failure as feedback. Nietzsche insisted that every failure is data on what doesn't work. After a setback, journal what you learned and identify the gap in skill, strategy, or mindset. Adjust your approach and try again, faster this time. Share your failures publicly or with a trusted cohort. Transparency defangs shame and invites support. With these moves, voluntary hardship, values-driven living, incremental wins, and feedback-driven iteration, you're following in Nietzsche's footsteps. You stop being a passive consumer of comfort and become an active creator of your destiny. Before we pause for a quick mid-video CTA, take a moment. Which of these steps will you start today? Write it down. Let that commitment anchor you as we press on to explore Nietzsche's darker insights on how society weaponizes comfort to keep us docile. If this conversation so far has you rethinking comfort and craving real growth, hit subscribe and ring the bell so you won't miss what's coming next. Join our community of thinkers who refuse to settle for easy. If you felt that spark of challenge, drop a comment below. What's one discomfort you're willing to embrace today? And if you know someone who needs to hear Nietzsche's warning, share this video with them. Let's forge strength together. Now let's confront the dark side of comfort, how society weaponizes ease to keep us docile. Nietzsche called it the herd mentality. When you surrender to comfort, you join the masses. You become predictable. You trade originality for acceptance. And that's exactly what the powers that be want. Think about it. Consumer culture bombards you with messages. Buy this, stream that, scroll here, so you never get bored. But each purchase, each click, each swipe is a vote for the status quo. Brands and algorithms profit from your passivity. Next, there are manipulation games. Politicians and marketers know that anxious, bored people are easier to control. They offer distractions, endless news cycles, sensational headlines, social media outrage to keep you off balance. You stay glued to your screen, ranting and reacting, never pausing to question deeper. That's comfort as a cage. Then comes projection. When you feel dissatisfied but too comfortable to change, you blame external forces, bad bosses, lazy millennials, corrupt systems, instead of owning your struggle. Projection turns you into a victim, and victims don't revolt, they wait for rescue. Meanwhile, your potential rusts. At the next level, comfort spawns spiritual resignation. You tell yourself, I'd take risks but life's too short, or I'm just not wired for that. Those are excuses dressed as self-care. They silence your inner critic long enough for the comfort trap to claim another soul. Here's the catch. The more these games are played, the more comfortable you feel, until one day you wake up and realize you've become an echo of trends, of notifications, of collective inertia. But Nietzsche's remedy is fierce. You must become an outlier. You must embrace the role of provocateur in your own life. Challenge the mainstream story. Question every should that isn't yours. Refuse shortcuts that dull your edge. To break free, practice these tactics. Interrupt your routines. Take a random route home. Read a book outside your interests. Have a conversation without checking your phone. Call out the herd. When you see a popular opinion that doesn't sit right, voice your dissent, even if it's just in your journal. Own your projections. Next time you blame someone else, ask, what responsibility do I have here? These moves aren't easy. They'll spark conflict, discomfort, maybe even isolation. That's the point. You're breaking the passive cycle, forging a self that refuses to be tamed. So as you watch the world chase comfort, remember, every act of defiance is a step toward becoming the Übermensch, someone who shapes values, not follows them. Up next, we'll have a quick micro recap and tease before revealing the ultimate power Nietzsche offered to those brave enough to reject the herd. Keep pushing. We've uncovered the silent killers of your ambition: instant gratification, passive consumption, fear of failure, and misplaced rewards. We've armed you with Nietzsche's framework: voluntary hardship, values over conformity, incremental wins, and failure as feedback. We've exposed the herd's manipulation games and the projection traps that keep you docile. You're no longer a passive consumer of comfort. You're a challenger of norms. But this journey isn't over. Next, we'll reveal Nietzsche's ultimate power, the force that transforms struggle into transcendence. It's the key to not just surviving discomfort, but using it to craft a destiny beyond your wildest dreams. Now imagine a sculptor standing before a raw, unyielding block of marble. Comfort is that marble untouched, smooth, predictable, lifeless. Nietzsche's ultimate insight was that you are both the sculptor and the material, and your struggles are the chisels revealing your hidden masterpiece. Consider Vincent van Gogh. In 10 years, he painted nearly 900 canvases, each brushstroke forged in poverty, insomnia, and crushing self-doubt. He lived on bread and coffee, confined by illness and isolation, yet he transformed his suffering into starry night, a swirling vision born from turmoil. In broken hotels and asylums, he painted feverishly, each moment of anguish feeding his art. His legacy endures because he chose struggle over comfort, using every hardship as raw material for beauty. Nietzsche called this idea the eternal recurrence, the thought experiment asking if you would willingly live this life, with all its pain and joy, over and over again. Would you embrace every struggle happily, knowing it shapes who you become? That question flips the script. Discomfort ceases to be an enemy, and become something you'd choose again, something you'd proudly endure to reveal your truest self. Your suffering is not a detour from meaning, it is meaning. When you feel overwhelmed by a challenge, you're not off course, you're on course. When you hit rock bottom, you're not broken, you're being refined. When the world whispers rest, you're being summoned to forge. Here's how to apply this today. Identify your ultimate project. What is the painting you were born to create? Be specific. Launch that novel, build that business, raise that family. Give it a name and write a brief mission statement. Commit to the eternal recurrence. Ask yourself, if you had to relive today's struggles forever, would you choose them? If the answer is yes, lean in. If you hesitate, adjust your path until your answer is a wholehearted yes. Chisel daily. Treat every trial, big or small, as a deliberate stroke on your canvas. A delayed email, an uncomfortable conversation, a hard workout. Journal each moment, note what it taught you, and plan your next move. Share your process. Find a trusted friend or community, online or in person, and report your daily struggles and wins. Transparency defangs shame and invites encouragement, turning private battles into collective support. Celebrate your scars. Each mark left by a challenge is proof you endured. At week's end, review your journal and acknowledge the growth hidden in your pain. Let those scars remind you of your progress and fuel your next push. Every setback, failure, and moment of doubt is part of your masterpiece. Nietzsche wrote in feverish isolation. Van Gogh painted in darkness. Yet they produced works that outlive us. Your trials are the raw material from which you will birth your own legacy. If this resonates, subscribe and ring the bell, because here we don't settle for comfort, we chase transformation. Comment below, what struggle will you embrace this week? Share this video with someone who needs the reminder that their hardship is their power. And if you're ready to join a community of creators forging meaning through challenge, join our Discord, link in the description, to share your journey, your failures, and your victories. Remember, comfort is the silence before the crash. Struggle is the symphony that follows. Choose the symphony. Choose to sculpt. Your masterpiece awaits. Get ready for the final revelation, the moment where you move from fighter to creator. Your metamorphosis awaits.